Welcome back to another stream where I'm on my way back to the house. You know, a few things happened today. Before I get into any of the football talk, if anybody plays video games out here, bro, the 2027 is about to be one of the greatest years, in my opinion, in terms of video games. We all understand Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out at the end of the year, but 2027 has such an insane lineup of games that I cannot wait to get a hold of these games and really start playing it, bro. But we're here now talking about what I saw before I got on stream on the way home. You know, Morgan Gibbs White, interesting player. You know, guy scored 18 goals in all competitions, including 15 goals in the Premier League, 7 assists across all competitions. And for a guy that is a number 10, those are very, very good numbers. Like, that's something I would love to have in the squad. But it says, honestly, that the teams that he's looking at, there's already players in his position and they're basically covered. But here's my thing. Morgan Gibbs White would be an excellent player, in my opinion, to add to a squad that is desperately lacking in quality in the number 10 role. Because we've seen with Palmer already this season or this past season that you need some competition there for him. And if he has the competition, I feel like he's going to actually play a little bit better. But who's to say you can't play a combination of Morgan Gibbs White and Cole Palmer as your 2 10s? I would love to see it. It would just be something that I think if Chelsea are serious, they may want to go inquire about going after him. That's just me. But he's a player that when we last saw him play against Chelsea, suffered that brutal injury where forwards came to the bridge, 1-3-1. We're up 3-0 for most of the game. João Pedro gets that insane goal at the very end of the game, which ended up being the goal of the season. But here's my thing about Morgan Gibbs White. How much are you paying for him? Right? Is there going to be an English tax? Is there going to be a tax where, you're doing it within the Premier League? What are we doing? Right? Like, I want to know, people watching, people that have watched me and all that stuff, would you go after Morgan Gibbs White as a possible option to add to this squad? I would be okay with it, me personally. I think he's good enough to play Big Six club. I think he's good enough and I think he needs that next step up. He had a very good season at Forest. Forest almost got to a European final, and he was one of the reasons why they almost got there. I would love to see it. I think he needs that next step up, personally. But for whoever's tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in again. It means a lot. Yesterday's stream, some idiots came into my stream and, kind of ruined the entire vibe of the stream. But, I've done my thing to make sure that people like that don't come in. And even if they do come in, we're not reading any of these comments. I got moderators in here. I got people making sure that dumbasses don't come into this kind of stream and just spew nonsense, right? But Morgan Gibbs White is a very interesting player that we could talk about. What's going on? 10 bins. How we doing, bro? It's been an interesting time being on YouTube, been an interesting time meeting a lot of different kind of people. A lot of people like talking about this sport that I love. I love the NBA too. I love my NFL. I love my Major League Baseball. But when it comes to this sport, world football, soccer, whatever you guys want to call it, right? Like, I'm American, so stereotypically, I'm going to have to call it soccer, but I don't call it that because I know better, honestly. But with that part being said, how are people feeling about Morgan Gibbs White possibly coming as a possibility of coming to Chelsea? I think it's a good idea. I think it's a player that we should be looking at to improve the quality of the squad that desperately needs some type of improvement, man. Is he a player that Xabi Alonso can wrap his hand around and say, hey, man, I got ideas for you. I have a way to integrate you. I have a way to get you to make you look like the best that you've ever looked. I mean, if he's able to make Florian Wirtz €108 million type player, then who's to say that Morgan Gibbs-White can't be on that same level? Because I don't think Florian Wirtz is cut out for the Prem, in my opinion. I think if he would have stayed in Germany a couple more seasons and then made that move, I think it would have gone over a lot easier for him. But I just think that transfer fee, man, for Florian Wirtz was just too much, way too much for me, man. But speaking on how my day's gone, bro, it's been pretty good. I mean, I'm excited that the World Cup is coming up. I'm excited that finally we get to see a tournament that means something all over the world, bro. Not just the Champions League. I mean, yes, Chelsea were in the Champions League this past season, but it was just such a letdown, man. Such a letdown, bro.